what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another build update video. So if you guys saw my last video where I did the Unify X build in the Razer O11 Dynamic from Lee, you know that I use these Antec storm fans as intake fans for my case. While I did enjoy these fans, I thought they were pretty good. They got some good static pressure, airflow, all that, and they're not too loud. I did have one major issue with them, and that is the fluid inside the fluid dynamic bearing is leaking out of one of them. Fortunately, they're still under Amazon's holiday return policy, so I'm going to be returning these and replacing them with, as you guys saw in the title of the video, these Razer Kunai 120mm Chroma fans. So I chose these fans for a couple of reasons. The first reason being these Razer fans match perfectly with my Razer Edition Lee case. Also, currently I'm using a Corsair AIO, and along with that they include their Commander Core XT, I believe it's called, and it's basically their fan controller that controls the RGB and fan speed on the Corsair fans. Eventually, as I've stated in previous videos, I'm going to be doing a 3x360mm custom water cooling loop in my PC, and when I do that I want to use 9 of the same fans, which is why I picked up 9 of these bad boys along with the Razer PWM fan controller and the Razer Chroma dock. By using all of these products in conjunction, it will allow me to use only the Razer software to control everything on my case, because currently with having a Corsair AIO I have to run Corsair IQ to control all that. Since the case is a Razer Edition case, it has a little RGB controller for all the lighting on the case. There's 3 light strips that are controlled by the controller that plugs into a USB port onto the motherboard. The downside of that is that it forces me to use Razer software to control the lighting on the case, and I haven't found a way around this. So like I said, by using these I can go ahead and eliminate that Corsair IQ program and control everything in the system using one program. However, today in this review I'm just going to be doing an unboxing of these fans, an installation, and an overall review in comparison to the old Antec storm fans. I'm not going to be doing a review or installation of the RGB controller or the PWM controller, and that's just due to the fact that I don't have the full cooling system loop. I still need to get 3 radiators, a pump, and a water block to complete my system. So for now we're just going to be replacing the Antec fans with the Razer fans that are already in the case, which is 6 of them. The last 3 are going to be saved for the spot that is currently taken up by the Corsair AIO. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the unboxing. And here we are, Razer Kunai Chroma. Beautiful packaging. I mean, it's kind of crazy that all this packaging is just for a single fan. Kind of testament of how Razer kind of does business. Some people may say they're overpriced, but I believe they just tried to provide high quality. Just a couple stickers here that really aren't easy to get with gloves. All right, finally got the stickers off. Let's go ahead and get in this box, see what we got. Now, normally these fans go for about $45.99 for a single fan, or $130 for 3 fans, which is extremely expensive for just a RGB fan. There are so many fans that compete with this, like the Lee fans, which actually have more unique and better features in my opinion, such as the fact that they are all daisy chainable, and you can link up to 4 to 1 slot on their controller. And also, if you get a 3-pack, I believe it comes with a controller for around the same price, $130. Whereas these, you're paying $45 for a single fan, and it seems you really get nothing extra in the box. It's just the instruction manual, some cardboard, and the fan itself. That is literally all you get in the box. So unless you really get these on a Black Friday deal, like I did for $25 a piece, which by the way was actually cheaper than getting the 3-pack on Black Friday. They had a 3-pack for $99.99 and the singles were $24.99. So if you got 3 singles, it was $75, which is the route I went, so I got 9 of them. I will say, taken out of the package, they are absolutely gorgeous fans. I do love the aesthetic of them. That is one reason I went for them. I love how they look. They're just a solid ring. The RGB is not in the fan itself. There's only a ring of RGB, but I'm not sure if you guys can tell on camera. It's very well mixed in with the rest of the black plastic, almost to where it seems black, like it doesn't have any RGB, which is kind of a nice and clean look. The cables are pretty high quality and premium looking. That is one thing you typically get with Razer products, is at least high quality components and cables, and the cables are actually braided, it seems. Not the PWM, but the RGB cable is actually braided. So really that's it for the unboxing. I mean, there wasn't really much to it. There's just the fan in the box. I'm gonna do a sound comparison versus the Antec fan fans. Mind you, I'm not the most advanced scientific sound audio tester, so we're gonna see what I can do with my Blue Yeti. If there's anything I can do better in my sound test, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, we'll go ahead and also check out the RGB when I get all 6 fans installed. Because I'm not using the RGB controller, I'm only gonna be able to set it to basic colors. I'm planning on setting it all to static green. As you guys have seen in my previous videos, green's my favorite color. You can even tell here. So we're gonna go ahead and set it to static green. And actually, it is a personal preference thing, but for me, I do like the fact that there's just a single ring of RGB and the fans themselves are not RGB. For my build itself, I wanted to go for a clean, stealthy black look with minimal RGB, and this fits perfectly for that. I do know some people prefer to have just rainbow puke in their builds. That's just not me. So these fans definitely have a target audience, and if you're that target audience, like I said before, just make sure you get them on Black Friday. Also, one last thing to note compared to the Antec fans, these fans came out extremely clean. I mean, there was almost no dust on them. When I received the Antec fans, and actually a lot of case fans I get in general, they're very dusty. I don't know what it is, but they always seem to have cardboard dust or just residue from manufacturing. I don't know what it is. These are the cleanest fans I've ever pulled out of the box. One last thing you get in the box, which I almost skipped over, is you do get some of these rubber fan mounts, which are good if you're trying to reduce the vibration of the fans in the case and make them as silent as possible. Do these make the fans worth $45 a piece? No, I don't think so. You can get an entire pack of like 50 of these on Amazon for like $6 to $8. I actually used some of these in my build already. If you guys saw my Razer O11D build, you've seen that in the rear of the case I actually mounted 2 80mm Arctic fans that aren't supposed to be mounted there using rubber style mount screws like these. Also, I will note, if you decide not to use those rubber mounts, the fans themselves do have little rubber pads that are going to help reduce vibration and insulate the fan from your case already, so you don't have to worry about it. And the beauty of these are they are actually integrated into the fan already out of the box. You don't have to install them yourself, so I do enjoy that. Alright, and this is the culprit right here. This is the Antec fan that was leaking. I went ahead and pulled it from the case so I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. If you see there a little ring around the inside of the fan, kind of hard to pick up on camera, but that little ring is actually either oil or whatever the fluid is that the fluid dynamic bearing rides on. That fluid is, I assume, slowly leaking out from the center of the bearing, and the fan blades are slowly slinging that out and it's hitting the edges here. Luckily, it was only this one fan and it didn't get anywhere in my case or on any of my components, but this is why I'm going ahead and swapping them out for the Razer fans. I guess that's just a lesson you learn with going for cheap fans. These do come in a 3-pack for $35, plus I got a $5 off coupon. So at $10 a fan, I mean, I guess you can't expect much. I thought they were going to be great because they're decently quiet, as we'll get into the sound test here in just a second, but they sound alright. They're not too loud and they push a lot of air, so that's what you get for getting cheap fans. Alright, now I got the Razer Kunai fan plugged in. I want to show you guys the RGB. It is absolutely amazing. It's super consistent, super fluid. There's really hardly any hot spot. It's actually pretty bright for what I was expecting. I'm not sure if you guys are able to pick that up on camera. In person, it looks so much better than it does on camera. It's very vibrant green. I think it's going to go great in the case. One thing I was wrong about earlier is I said this braided portion of the cable was the RGB. It's actually the PWM part of the cable, and then you have 2 RGB cables. So one is providing the RGB to the fan. You also have a male 5-volt RGB, and that's to allow you to daisy chain these. Actually, you don't need the controller to power these fans. If you want, you can just daisy chain them off a single 5-volt motherboard header. So for now, that's what I'm going to do until I go ahead and install that controller. Another thing I would like to note here on the fan is that there is no sticker on the fan or the front face of the fan. They just have the Razer logo engraved into the fan, which makes it to where there's never a chance of the sticker being misaligned. Almost every fan I've ever used that has a sticker on it is always misaligned. Here, there's no sticker. You don't have to worry about it. Just the engraving and plastic. Every single fan is 100% smooth and no wobbles. They do include stickers. It was in the manual. I didn't open the manual, so I didn't see them, but they actually just fell out a second ago. So I'm gonna have 9 pages of stickers. Maybe I should give these away. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. All right, I got all the fans out the PC now. I want to just show you guys the sound tests. What the new fans sound like compared to the old fans. We're gonna do 4 different speeds. The minimum speed, halfway, the speed that I would play in Fortnite, or the speed that I have the fans fans going on when I play Fortnite, and then their maximum speed. First, I'll start with the Antec fan. I'll do a speed selection, and then immediately after you'll hear the Razer Kunai fan, so that way you guys can get a feel for apples to compare. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the absolute minimum speed of the fan, which just so happens to be about 550 RPM. Alright, so pretty much inaudible on the minimum speed. Alright, and here's the sound test for the Razer Kunai fan. So this is also at 0% fan speed in the Corsair IQ software. The cool thing about these fans is when you put 0% speed, they actually go to 0 RPM. So unlike the Antec that continually spin no matter how low of a percentage you put, and they have a minimum fan speed, these actually go down to 0 RPM. So for me in the future, when I do my ultimate custom water cooling loop, that's going to be amazing in keeping a totally silent system. So of course, being 0 RPM, there's nothing really to hear here, so let's go ahead and go to our next test, which is 50%. Alright, so at 50% speed, the fan is spinning at 1200 RPM, and this is what it sounds like. One thing I noticed when I was switching speeds is that the fan ramps up extremely fast. All the way from 0 RPM to 1200 RPM, which is half the total speed. The fan just shot up straight to 1200 RPM in like a split second. Compared to the Antec Storm, it took quite a while to ramp up in comparison. Also, I will note this is something that you can't perceive through the camera. Holding it in my hand, compared to the Antec fans, this is way more smooth. There's hardly any vibrations coming from the motor in comparison to the Antec fan, which could be why it prematurely failed and is already leaking fluid. Alright, so here is the 50% speed, 1200 RPM. Alright, so when I'm in-game playing Fortnite, I actually keep my fans at 69%. No particular reason, just enjoy that number. And this is what it sounds like at 69%. And again, it's a huge difference in smoothness. This fan is absolutely stable compared to the Antec fans. Very smooth. I really hope you guys are picking that up on the mic. It's so much quieter than the Antec fan. Alright, now we're sitting at 100% fan speed. It has an advertised max fan speed of 2000 RPM. I'm hitting about 1950 RPM. It is a little less than the max advertised speed, which there's always going to be a variance. And I'll go ahead and throw the specs on the screen while you guys are listening to the fan at max speed. I will say it's a little bit louder than the Antec fan, and I think that's simply because the higher RPM, it is 2200 RPM instead of 2000 only, but it's much smoother and it's providing a lot of airflow. One last little quirk with the fans is the minimum speed I was able to set them in Corsair IQ is 9%, which equals to about 240 to 250. And at this RPM, they are moving a little bit of air, but they are absolutely silent. Like I said earlier, if you have like a crazy custom water cooling loop, you could set these fans to their super minimum RPM like this and have a totally silent build. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and get them all installed into the case. When I'm finished, I'll show you guys what the completed build looks like, and we'll go ahead and do some B-roll, and I'll go over my final thoughts. Also, one thing that I want to mention here, or I forgot to mention earlier, is if you decide to use these fans as case fans and you're not hooking them up to a radiator or using like long radiator screws, I highly recommend using these rubber screws or these rubber fasteners. They make installing the fans super quick and easy, and I prefer using these rather than breaking my wrist turning a screwdriver just to screw all these fans in. 6 fans times 4 screws, it's 24 screws that you're gonna have to tighten, which ends up being a lot. These you just pull through like I'll show here. And once you've mounted them, yeah, this top rubber part does stick up, but if you prefer, you can totally cut these off and have a much cleaner look. One downside of if you do cut these off, if you decide to remove the fans, they're gonna be impossible to reuse. So as long as you don't cut them, you can keep reusing them, but if you decide to cut them, you can't reuse them. So the reason I left mine still on the case for now and uncut is because, like I said, I'm doing that water cooling upgrade in the future, so I prefer to go ahead and leave them uncut, although it doesn't look the best. So that way in the future, whenever I remove them and do the water cooling loop, I can save them for later. Alright guys, now we got all the fans installed. It didn't take me that long. The only thing that I would say I don't like about these fans is the fact that I do enjoy the daisy chain, but there are 3 cables per fan, which kind of makes it tough to route all those cables. So if you have 9 fans, that's 27 cables that you're gonna have to route. The cables do add up really fast with these fans. Usually RGB fans already have 2 cables, let alone 3. 3 is just crazy. If you do plan on getting these, just be wary of the 3 RGB cables. Now is the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and power on and see how she looks. Probably won't show the RGB at first until it's fully booted and MSI Mystic Light is loaded. I have these fans running off my motherboard and it's an MSI motherboard, so I'm using Mystic Light software to control the RGB. It looks like they're not gonna turn on until I load up Mystic Light. Okay, finally we got Mystic Light loaded up. It should take over the RGB any second now. There goes the Corsair IQ, and once the RAM goes green, boom, wow. Oh my god, I wish you guys could see this in person. It looks absolutely amazing. It's so gorgeous. The green is just absolutely popping from every angle of this case. So amazing. And the system itself is extremely silent right now. I have my fans on low speed. Another thing I love about the lighting on these fans is that since the lighting is on both sides, or at least you can see the ring from both sides, it gives a nice glow in the back side of the Celine Lee case. Looks really nice in person. Gorgeous. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and do some B-roll for you guys, and then I'll get into my final thoughts. Alright, so really quick guys, I want to show you something. Now that I've gotten all the Antec fans out of the case and swapped them with the Razer Kunai fans, I discovered something that is much worse than I thought. So earlier I told you the reason I'm replacing these fans is because one of them failed. I found out that 4 of the 6 fans that I purchased actually failed. That's 2/3 of the fans, or 66% of the fans failed and started leaking fluid out of their bearing. As you can see here, a little hard to tell, but this is the first one, fluid leaking. Second one, fluid leaking. Third fan, fluid leaking. And fourth fan, fluid leaking. That's pretty atrocious even for a cheap fan. I mean, yeah, these were $35, but they feel good quality, they look decent quality, and from all their reviews, I figured they would be alright. But now that just goes to show, be very careful about which fans you choose to put in your case. It may be one of the most overlooked things in a PC build, but it may be one of the most important things. Now I see why people always recommend Noctua fans. I've personally owned several Noctua fans. I've used Noctua for several years now, and I've never had a single fan leak on it, even after years of abuse. Of course, I'll have to see how these Razer fans hold up, but judging by the price, they better be a lot better quality than this, especially if you're going to be charging $45 for a single fan. So overall, absolutely dissatisfied with these fans. 0 to 10, I would not recommend. Alright guys, so overall I'm really happy with these Razer Kunai fans. I think they look absolutely amazing. They're super quiet. I love how consistent the lighting is. And just the fact that they match my case and allow me to go ahead and use the Razer software so I can get rid of that IQ software like I was talking about earlier. But however, of course, we're going to have to do a long-term test and see if these actually hold up, unlike these Antec fans, which I mean I'm just extremely disappointed about. I can't believe that out of 6 fans, 4 of them failed. That's just unheard of to me. I mean, yeah, these are cheap fans, $35 for a 3-pack, but I guess you get what you pay for. The saying holds true here as well. And if that saying holds true with these, then being $45 in a single fan, hopefully the quality is there and hopefully they're gonna hold up and I don't get the same leaking issue that I had with the Antec Storm. If you want to find out if these fans hold up or not, make sure you subscribe to the video and turn on bell notifications, because when I do the full custom water cooling loop in my PC, we'll recheck the first 6 Razer fans that I put in the case and see if they're leaking or any sort of issues with them, making weird noises or bearings seizing up, anything like that. Now, do I think these fans are worth $45? I don't believe so. I think that if you can get them on sale for the $25 a piece that I got them for, I think they're good fans if you really enjoy the aesthetic and you like the look of them. However, if you don't find them on sale, honestly, I would go look elsewhere. Maybe some Lee & fans, Corsair fans, or even Thermaltake have some pretty good RGB fans. Because for 45 bucks here, I mean, you're not getting a lot. It's literally just a fan and some mounting hardware. I do like the fact that they daisy chain though, and I realize now that it allows me to go ahead and just bypass the RGB controller I got. So I'm gonna go ahead and be returning this Razer RGB controller, and that's just because I realized I don't need it. If I can just daisy chain the fans off of one motherboard header, why spend $40 on a gadget like this? Plus, my motherboard has 2 5-volt RGB headers, so I can run all my fans off of one, and if I want anything else in the case, like light strips or anything, I can go ahead and daisy chain those off of the other 5-volt header. Or I could continue daisy chaining off the Razer fans. Since everything in my case is set to green anyway, it's not a huge issue. This is more like if you want super custom lighting effects, which I don't care about, and more control over the individual addressable RGBs. All right, those are pretty much my final thoughts. If you just want one sentence, I recommend these at $25. Anything above, save your money and look elsewhere. If you enjoyed this video, I ask that you please like and subscribe. It helps me so much in getting my content out there. And let me know in the comments if there's anything I could have done better or anything you guys would like to see about these fans. And let me know what kind of fans you rock in your case. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.